Progressivism is a societal cancer. Hello everyone, welcome to the Freedom Alternative. This week we had the chance to fully witness, yet again, what the left actually understands in the word tolerance, with the occasion of what I'd like to call the Ben Shapiro affair. To those of us who are accustomed in dealing with the left for decades now, this comes as no surprise. But it does come as a surprise for the younger crowd out there who started learning about the far left and the gender ideologues' progressive tolerance through things like #Gamergate. So essentially, last Friday, Ben Shapiro was on a panel on the Dr. Andrew Show discussing whether Bruce Jenner deserved his Courage Award that he received after his pity party, in the aftermath of which people were doxxed and censored for having the audacity to observe reality. Now, I find it very hard to take that portion of the story seriously, not just because I don't give a flying toss on what Bruce Jenner is doing with his life, but also because there's a growing mountain of evidence that the award itself was essentially bought in exchange for PR plugs and other favors. However, there is another portion of the story that is indeed relevant. Let's not waste the time and just take a look.
Educated on genetics.
Would you like to discuss the genetics? Or
Well, no,
what
no.
are your genetics? Sir?
So I'd stay away from the genetics and back to the brain scans.
You cut that out now, or you'll go home in an ambulance.
That's very interesting, isn't it? So Zoe Tur gets to put his hand around Shapiro's neck, threaten him with violence, then gets to continue to insult him, and then on KFI AM 640's Bill Carroll on Tuesday, he also goes to say, quote, "I came so close to putting Shapiro over my knee and spanking him," end of quote. And that's still not enough for the leftist media to call this for what it is, an assault. Huffington Post Gay Voices comes with this nonsense, quote, "Breitbart's Ben Shapiro claims that reporter Zoe Tur threatened to assault him." I'm sorry, what? Claims Zoe Tur threatened? Claims? Claims? Look, I know I'm wearing glasses, but I'm neither blind nor deaf, mate. The word claims implies uncertainty. Even I know that English is my third language, and yet still I understand that claims is something that is uncertain. Yet this is not uncertain. How stupid does the Huffington Post think its public is? Well, very stupid it would seem, since a significant chunk of the commentaries outright deny what you've just seen in the video, and those that don't immediately jump to make excuses for Zoe Tur's behavior. Meanwhile, Ben Shapiro is doing what he should do in this situation, namely to file a report with the police for assault and battery, because that's exactly what happened. This move enraged the Twitter leftists even further and made Zoe breach another law, namely the California Online Privacy Protection Act, by doxing one of his opponents. Doxing opponents has become an entrenched part of the authoritarian transgender politics. On Twitter, the circle jerk continued, with leftists going into didn't-do-nothing mode, creepy love statements, and more insults that they allegedly oppose. Because, you see, calling a woman a bitch is a quote-unquote gendered insult, and as such, it's not tolerable in a leftist society. But calling a man female or gay as an insult is acceptable if the man doesn't agree 150% with the progressivist worldview. Some of the most dubious leftist reactions were in the area of wanting Shapiro fired. He works for Breitbart, you silly prick. He'll most likely be promoted for that. But also there's this one, in which, in my opinion, shows exactly how the leftist mentality works. Quote, "Of course, now that the law is on our side, Christian bigots must be put in their place, that is, in the closets." Well, for starters, Ben Shapiro is an Orthodox Jew, and secondly, you must be a special kind of stupid to genuinely believe that just because you have some laws on your side, you can enforce your worldview on the majority of the populace in America. Dude, people have guns in America. I wouldn't piss them off too much if I were you. But anyway, the law is not on Zoe Tur's side at all. Not on this issue, not on the doxing issue either. One does not have the right to assault people and further escalate threats of violence just because Shapiro disagrees with you. When professional con artist Anita Sarkeesian got some nasty online trolling, online, that is to say, no one touched her, the whole media establishment went on fire with how she needs permanent protection and how much she's in danger, blah blah, blah blah blah, blah blah. Same happened with John Walker Flint, aka Brianna Wu, who also claimed to have been harassed and got the media riled up in his defense. Same goes with Zoe Quinn. Isn't it bizarre that the biggest cunts tend to be named Zoe? I don't know, I mean, Zoe Quinn, Zoe Tour, could be a pattern in there. Or maybe I'm looking too much into it. But anyway, none of these people I just mentioned got touched or received genuinely credible or provable threats of violence. But Ben Shapiro did. We've all seen it. Zoe Tour is physically superior to Ben Shapiro and definitely intellectually inferior, since all he could do is to threaten violence when encountering political disagreement. That makes the threat both provable and credible, and despite this obvious reality, there is no outrage in the cathedral media. And in the leftist circles, they cheer for Zoe Tour and regret that he didn't take his threat to completion. How's that for tolerance? At least the commies were less hypocritical. Jesus Christ. Look, I've stated in previous videos that tolerance, just like any other progressive word, including the word progressive, means exactly the opposite of what it says. And nowhere is this more apparent than when one combines LGBTism with tolerance. For more on that, check out this video. The Ben Shapiro affair proves this again. The LGBTist lobby is not, and never has been, about tolerance and live and let live. No. It's about the pursuit of power, and if you disagree, you're inherently evil. Some commentators, like the center-left vlogger Sargon Avocad, have noticed that the social justice warriors are attracting exactly the kind of people they purport to fight against. Well, that's true, but it's not a surprise. Any collectivist communist system is bound to attract exactly that kind of people. Remember, Lenin was against the gulags, but couldn't prevent Stalin from reaching to power. Whether one likes it or not, things like Zoe Tour are part of the ends justifies the means crowd. And these kinds of thugs just happen to have more lipstick and a gigantic PR apparatus. That's it. Fundamentally, they're really not that different from any other types of totalitarians. When you have to resort to outright banning opposite points of view, like it's been done in certain portions of Europe, or to come up with physical violence when you encounter opposite points of view, what makes you so much different from the KGB? The biggest problem, though, is not just Zoe Tour is a messed up thug. The biggest problem is that thugs like Tour can afford to be thugs live on television, knowing full well that they'll be defended by the cathedral media, which did happen. The rest of the bloody panel blamed the victim, that was Ben Shapiro, for the assault that had just happened right in front of everyone's eyes. Now, I know that some of you will say that Ben Shapiro was being a dick and that he baited Zoe Tour. Well, so what? It's not Shapiro's fault that genetics refuses to agree with Zoe Tour's political point of view. Because let's be clear on this, Zoe Tour's insistence to be called a she is a political position at best. And unless you're a totalitarian or a thug, both epithets being fully appropriate for Zoe Tour, you take it like an adult that some people will disagree with your political position and learn how to debate better. Thugs like Tour are a stain on civilized political discourse. Not only do they harm the LGBTist cause, which I don't care about anyway, but they harm the standards of political discourse even further. I'll leave a link in the low bar to a video from 1983 with a debate between Thomas Sowell and a hardcore Jewish leftist on the merits of affirmative action. I really do suggest you all look at it and then compare it with the way Shapiro is treated on the Dr. Andrew show. How come in a little over 30 years it has come from a battle of ideas and jokes thrown at each other to physical fights on live TV? If Donald Trump had done such thing to a physically smaller reporter, all hell would have broken loose. Yet it's somehow fair game for leftist thugs to do whatever they damn please because potato. This is a very dangerous path indeed, and at the end of the day, at the end of this path, there is no progressive utopia. It's only degeneracy, totalitarianism, genuine oppression, and decay. And with that being said, don't forget to click the subscribe button and follow me on Twitter at FreedomAlternat. Thanks for watching.